Welcome to it, sports fans, from the bleachers. With me, MKT, live from Cape Town, South Africa. It is our first episode, of course, going live, and we are doing it this way from now on. So it's going to be coming to you in video. So the podcast will be coming to you in video, FTB TV podcast. Of course, check us out on Instagram, FTB_TV, and then we're on Twitter as well. Of course, you've seen we've been uploading the Skip Pass podcast with my esteemed colleague and our rugby guru, Vody Miller. So she's been doing her thing. So thanks for joining me, guys. Today we are talking football. So it's been about a week and a half that we've been off the podcast. We are talking football. We are back with a bang. We'll be away for the rest of the week. But today is our first video podcast live. Loving it. So what are we talking about today? It is, of course, Maurizio Sarri. He's been awful. Let's chat about why he should go. We'll chat about Man United. Should Gunnar Solskjær get the job? And then, of course, the Bulls. If you're a rugby fan, the Bulls have let go of 100 rugby players. I haven't started. The Bulls are letting go of 100 rugby players. Welcome to it from the bleachers with me, MKT. Of course, the people's champ. That's what the people are saying. And I will oblige. People's Champ will be coming to you. I will be coming Monday to Friday via this format. So remember, I'll be posting up links at exactly what time we'll be going live. It will be live daily, Monday to Friday. And then you can join us for the Skip Pass podcast with me and Vody Miller. And we will have guests galore throughout the year. So please go and like, subscribe, check us out on YouTube from the Bleachers TV. Folks, that is the intro. Let me get into it. By the way, episode 30, once again, like, share, subscribe, the YouTube channel, FTB TV, and then, of course, we're from the Bleachers TV on Facebook. That is some good tea, Rooibos tea. If you're not in South Africa, I bet you're missing that. But, folks, let's get into it. So we all know that one couple, right? They really, we see them and we want it to work out for them. Right? Like really badly. Like really, really badly. Like the guy just got out of a decent relationship, but he thought he was better than her, so he kind of leaves her behind. But the girls, she's just come out of like 2 or 3 rocky relationships. But you know, everyone's always kind of said in the friendship group, they should be together. But they've just never been single together at the right time. We all know that type of situation. And the worst kind of people are those annoying couples who want more couples to do couple stuff with, right? And they think it's awesome to matchmake. Like they are the Cupid couple. If you're that couple, everybody hates you. But you've probably got a swimming pool at your house, so they tolerate you. But we all know that couple that thinks they are the matchmaking couple. Anyway, this annoying kind of couple, one thing they always do is they never tell the other person about the negative stuff. So the guy might be like, I don't know, an introvert, and the girl might maybe drink a little bit much. You know, the guy might be, I don't know, he might have body odor. They don't tell the other girl, they don't tell the girl this, and it never really works out. But for them, it's like, okay, we need another couple because we need somebody to go and skin her with, and I don't know what couples do. Like go to lunch in places that are too far from home and do nonsense couple stuff. I don't know. But we all know these people, and we want these couples to work really badly. Like we know this in friendship groups, right? Listen, this Maurizio Sarri and Chelsea thing was doomed from the start. Like everybody wanted it to happen. Chelsea needs a new image. Chelsea needs a new manager. They need a guy who's going to reframe the club. They need somebody who's going to play the right football. But listen here, Maurizio Sarri's greatest ever achievement was being the manager of the year in Italy 3 years ago, and he has never done anything else. And they came third that season. I'm going to let that sink in. That is Maurizio Sarri's height of his career. He came third in Serie A, right, and won manager of the year. Listen, Chelsea over the last 15 years are England's most successful club, right? 5 Premier Leagues, 8 FA Cups, and a Champions League. England's most successful club. Maurizio Sarri hasn't won a teacup Chelsea, 5 Premier League, 8 FA Cups, and a Champions League. Maurizio Sarri hasn't won a teacup. Listen, guys, here's the truth of the world. Supermodels don't marry nerds and stay with the nerd. I don't care if you're a nerd, that's not how the world works. Yeah, she might like the money up front, so maybe the yacht, and maybe the European holidays. It's appealing for like the first 5 years. And then she's like, I'm a supermodel. What the hell am I doing with this guy? I can be with anyone. There's lots of good-looking guys that are rich now. There's lots of good-looking guys that give me the same lifestyle. And maybe I'll get something in the settlement. Nerds and supermodels don't stay together. This isn't Narnia. This is real life. All right? Listen, Maurizio Sarri is being defended by people going, the players have let him down. Let me tell you something. Let me put it for you this way. Why are you defending Sarri? Because there's 3 points that I have to make is to say, he's picking Jorginho, first of all, right? Jorginho, who's not athletic enough to play in the Premier League. And Jorginho, by the way, without the ball is a liability. I'm talking like a drunk girlfriend at a family lunch kind of liability. Jorginho, when he doesn't have the ball, is a liability. And he's not like Claude Makelele helping the ball transition quickly. He's actually quite slow with the ball at his feet. So I don't know what Sarri's talking about when he says without him, they can't transition out of defense. Because he's awful with the ball at his feet. The ball gets stuck with Jorginho all the time. And if it doesn't do that, it goes back to the defenders. And then without the ball, he's not an athlete. What that does, it exposes Chelsea's back four every single time on the counter-attack. Every single time. Why is that? He's not an athlete. I heard the commentator saying he's adjusting to the physicality of the Premier League. Well, we saw what happened in the second half. Jorginho is nowhere near good enough to be at... Jorginho is nowhere near good enough to be at Everton. Forget about Chelsea, the most successful club over the last 15 years in England. David Luiz, liability number 2. Look here, Brazil saw in 2014 that this guy's not serious about international football. He's not the guy at this level. And I'll tell you why Luiz can't do it, especially in the Premier League anymore. The injuries have caught up with him. If you're a Man United fan, you remember Rio Ferdinand towards the end. Because Rio always had mistakes in his game, but he was a phenomenal athlete. David Luiz is the poor man's Rio Ferdinand. He can't cover up for the mistakes anymore. So he's always been making the mistakes, but he had the physicality to make up for it. But now he's just a disaster. Let's face it. Because the mistake count is probably even higher. But now it's clear to see because Luiz can't recover. If you're a Man United fan, have a look at the Man United game when Chelsea lost there. Juan Mata clips it over David Luiz, and that turns the game. Martial does the rest. So not only is Luiz poor at the positioning at centre-back, now his costly errors, he can't recover, and it's Rudiger and Jorginho can't get back to cover. I mean, that's just a joke. So Luiz is the biggest liability, and Brazil saw that 5 years ago. There's a reason he hasn't been back at the Selecao. He is no good. And anybody with one eye that's working like 1% can see that Alonso is incapable of playing in a back four. We can all see that. Marcos Alonso hasn't become a poor player overnight. He is what he's always been. A flying, attacking goal threat of a left back with a hammer shot and a great cross. Nobody's ever accused him of being Maldini. But now it's clear he can't play in the back four. We can all see it. Explain to me why he's still playing Alonso in a back four, where he's exposed, where you can see he can't defend, where he doesn't have a defensive midfielder who can cover for him. It's all good and well Alonso going, but when you've got Barkley who's sluggish, when you've got Jorginho who's sluggish, that's 2 of your 3 in midfield. If only Chelsea had the most athletic midfielder in the Premier League, maybe in world football. If only they had him, Oh wait, they do. They've got N'Golo Kante. Why is he not playing? That sorts out your Alonso problem, and it gives Alonso that freedom to carry on bombing. But he cannot play in a back four, and if you're going to play him in a back four with Jorginho, you're asking for trouble. You are asking for trouble. And you ask for trouble, it'll come to your door. We've seen what's happened. Alonso in a back four, disaster. It's an absolute disaster. Listen, all of those are coaching errors, right? I can't help. That's got nothing to do with the players. Those are selection errors. Those are three consistent players that are being picked, and they are picked to fail. Jorginho's not good enough. Luiz hasn't been good enough for 5 years. David Luiz hasn't been good enough for 5 years. Brazil saw that. You can't blame the players when the guys on the field are not up to scratch. And it's not like they don't have a replacement. Christensen was maybe the best centre-back in the league 2 seasons ago. Chelsea cantered to the league. So Christensen's on the bench, fresh, and when Christensen plays, he's got all the skills. He's a distributing centre-back. He's got all the power. He's got all the pace. His positioning's unbelievable, and he's 22 years old. Those are selection problems. Those aren't player problems. That's not Hazard's problem. That's not Giroud's problem. That's not Willian's problem. That's the manager setting you up to fail. Chelsea cannot absorb the counter-attack. That's on the coach. And if I needed to see it again, I've seen it for the last time. At 1-0 down, 66 minutes in, you think to yourself, okay, Everton are 1-0 up. There's about half an hour to go with added time. He'll surely bring on a second striker for the first time this season. He has not once brought on a second striker, and Chelsea have been 2-0 down, 3-0 down at times. What does he do? He takes off Barkley for Loftus-Cheek. He takes off Higuain and brings on Giroud. You're 1-0 down with 25 minutes, half an hour to go. You make like for like. Changes. I think I lost you there for a second. I'll go back. Alonso clearly is not made to play in a back four. I think I lost you just before I started saying that. And that's Conte's. That's got to be the coach's fault. That's got nothing to do with Hazard, nothing to do with Willian. That's all on the coach. But if I needed to see it again, I've seen it for the last time. At 1-0 down, 66 minutes in, what does he do? He takes off Higuain and he puts on Giroud. He takes off Barkley and he puts on Loftus-Cheek. Like for like, 4-5-1. You're 1-0 down. He's 1-0 down. Change the formation. You know what doesn't make sense? How are Chelsea worse defensively and attacking-wise than last year? That doesn't make sense, because if you're worse defensively, at least go for it. He's not even going for it. They're worse defensively and worse attacking. That doesn't make sense. That can't make sense. I don't care if you're in transition. The quality of players you've got there at the peak of their game, you've got to choose either or. And Jorginho, I think, is a symbol of exactly what the tactics are. It's nothing. It's dead. It's in between. Because he's not attacking, he's not defending. They are worse than last year at defense and attack. Listen, player power at Chelsea is not news. I don't want to hear that as an excuse. Oh, the player power at Chelsea. That's not news. That's been happening the whole time. I don't want to hear anybody saying player power at Chelsea. I don't want to hear that. That's not news. Sarri, don't take the job if you knew that up front. Do not take the job if that's a problem. You don't take the job if that's a problem. I'm sorry. And that is not an excuse for any defenders of Maurizio Sarri. I'm sorry. Get out of here with that. That's not an excuse. That's like, seriously, that's like going to get a new car and you pay for a Prius and you're like, oh, no, I wanted an M5. No. You knew what you were getting when you paid for the Prius. So Maurizio Sarri has no excuse here. Player power, Chelsea is a very real thing, and it's been like that for 15 years. I don't want to hear that. All I'm saying to the guy is 4-4-2. Maybe change 3 midfield. Play 2 up front. Maybe try 3 at the back. Try anything. Because what you're doing now with the personnel you have is not working. Listen, don't live in a world, right, that you imagine you want to live in. Live in the real world. The world is as it is. It's not how you want it to be. I don't care what Maurizio Sarri wants. I'm dealing with the reality. And the reality is that he cannot play 2 at the back and have Alonso. Play 3 at the back. Christensen was part of a league-winning team 2 years ago, even with Luiz's tragic mistakes. I don't want to hear it. These are all tactical problems. These aren't player problems. Get Jorginho out. Put Conte, who just won a World Cup at DM. Put him in his natural position. Like, what are we talking about here? People defending this guy who hasn't changed the tactics all season, and it's clearly not working. You still want to defend Maurizio Sarri. I mean, come on. And I am a Chelsea fan. It's unashamed. But for anybody who's watching, keep it together. These are all coaching problems. These are not player problems. And, if I'd seen the level of effort drop from players, I'd say, okay, that's on them. But the player levels have been the same throughout the season. Hazard, Willian, Pedro, they're all trying. Could they have finished some chances in the first half against Everton? I'm not saying no. But you adjust to the second half. You settle down. But Jorginho was overrun. He was exhausted. And he never comes off. Listen, the thing about these couples that get couples together is they don't really consider whether they're compatible or not. Right? They just care about, can we go double dating? We need somebody to go camping with. They don't really care about that other couple. This nightmare Cupid couple. That's what's happened here. Listen, good people get divorced all the time. It's okay. It is okay to let him go. It's over. Roman Abramovich, if it is your last thing that you do, the man's got to go. He's got to go. I don't want to hear player problems. I don't want to hear player problems. I just don't want to hear it. Listen, I'll say it again. I've said it enough. Supermodels cannot stay with nerds. I'm sorry. Sorry, you're not up to it. He's never won anything. He's won Coach of the Year in Italy. That's not good enough. Chelsea want to be competing at the top. And it is absolute hell being a Chelsea manager. And if you're not up for it, and he keeps saying, I don't know what happened every game, then go manage in the Championship, my friend. Go back to Italy. The food's great there. I know the food's not great in the UK. But it's over. Nerds and supermodels cannot stay together. Sarri out. It's 2019. I'm sorry. Sarri's got to go. He's got to go, guys. Maurizio Sarri has to go. Let's move over to Manchester. That is some good tea. Let's move over to Manchester. So listen, you know when you're on holiday, right? Everybody knows this feeling. This is unbelievable tea. Everybody knows this feeling. You know when you're on holiday and you meet a girl and she's perfect because you're on holiday, right? The cocktails are sweeter, the air is cleaner. I mean, everything's just better. You even have your six-pack looks more six-packier, if there's such a thing. Right? You're on holiday. Everything's great. I'm on a boat. I'm on a yacht in the Caribbean. Especially when you've just come out of your third bad relationship in 3 years. You just need a break. You know, when you meet people, you tend to overlook some of the things they do on holiday, right? It's like, oh, she was passed out at the bar every night. Oh, well, she was on holiday. She's just a fun person. Forget that it was like 7 days in a row, right? She was rude to the staff, but we're on a yacht. Come on. We're on a yacht, right? And then you get home, and then you try this dating thing, because you remember it's a honeymoon. You're caught up in it. We've all made this mistake. You're caught up in it. And then she's leaving socks on the floor, right? She's this person. Like she doesn't clean her dishes, right? Didn't have. Remember, on honeymoon, there's people to service these things. You don't get to see someone's personality, real personality on honeymoon. Socks on the floor, their kitchen's a mess. She's always phoning you when you're out. You like want to go to gym. Where are you? Nagging, right? Everybody knows what I'm talking about. And if you're saying, I'm not that girl, you're that girl. If you're like, oh, I've never met this girl, you're that girl. Ladies, I'm sorry to deliver that message. You exist and you're probably that girl. Where are you? Because you're not on honeymoon anymore. This is real life. People have to get up at 5 o'clock and go to work. That's what happens. This is real life. But you've made the mistake now. You sign a 12-year lease. You move in. She's a nightmare. Because it's not honeymoon anymore. Listen, if Man United give Ole Gunnar Solskjær this job, it would be absolute madness. Listen, I get it. 14 games in a row domestically. Yeah, golly at the wheel. Let's all have it. Let's all have a good time. But this is Man United. I don't care if you don't like Man United, if you don't support Man United. This is Manchester United. Winning 14 in a row, winning 14 games domestically, or being unbeaten for 14 games in a row domestically. That's the standard. That's the standard. Stop celebrating the standard. This is Manchester United. Ole Gunnar Solskjær, there's no need to be celebrated. Just because you've been in a bad relationship with 3 managers before, this is Man United. This doesn't change the fact that this is still Man United. This is the blue chip club in England. I don't want to hear people calling Ole Gunnar Solskjær a genius manager. This is Man United. It's expected here. Listen, Man United can't be bullied by PSG. If that is not a warning sign that your coach can't adjust at the top, and you don't want to see it because you're shrouded, once again, you're on the cocktails, the beach, the yacht, you're still on the honeymoon, and you want to overlook that PSG, without Neymar, by the way, that must be clear, without Neymar, made Man United look like a relegation team in the Championship. Yes, they won the tie. I'm not going to deny that. That's PSG's fault. But if you watch the game, you know it was a ridiculous decision. I don't care if you're a Man United fan, you know that's a ridiculous decision. But besides that, they were comprehensively outplayed. Now, if that's not a warning sign to you as a Man United fan, and you're happy with Man United being ragdolled like that, you're overlooking it because you're still on honeymoon. If you're overlooking the injuries, right? If you're overlooking those injuries, you're still on honeymoon because Ole Gunnar Solskjær is not rotating. You can't play this intensity 3 times a week. Man United have been involved everywhere until this past weekend, and he didn't rotate. Bang, it was Lingard. It was Mata. Before that, Rashford. This is what happens when you play your players every week. This is where Fergie separates himself. This is where early Mourinho separates himself. You rotate, you look after your players, you trust your medical staff. Folks, this is part of managing at the top. This is Norwegian Premier League anymore, guys. This is the real thing. At Man United, winning 14 games or being unbeaten for 14 games is the standard. You get celebrated for the special things that you do. Rotating your squad, the management of the egos. And I haven't seen that from Ole Gunnar Solskjær once. Listen, my biggest issue, so it's not even that Ole's not up to it coaching-wise. Right? The management-wise, he's not up to it. He's shown me that already. I'm not a Man United fan. I'm not on holiday. I'm not in Bazarito sipping cocktails. I'm a realist. I'm in the business of telling the truth. That's not my biggest concern. The fact that he's inept as a coach is not my biggest concern. My biggest concern is that in this honeymoon phase, the players have been enabled. And here's the problem, right? Anybody who's ever had a puppy, or you had a dog since it was a puppy, I'm sure you've had a couple of puppies. If you don't train the dog early on that you cannot relieve yourself in the house, and then you try and train the dog when it's 2 years old, oh, it is too late, my friend. Then you're forking out thousands of pounds, of dollars, of rands to retrain that dog to use the garden. My point is this, is that Ole couldn't drop the hammer on these guys now. It's been pamper, pamper, pamper. Enabling, enabling, enabling. And listen, at the top, things always go wrong. There needs to be an authority in the change room. That's not an option for Ollie from here. Because he set the standard that, hey, I'm your friend, guys. We're all here for a good time. And with a dressing room like this, where the leader is Paul Pogba, it's already loose. Man United's problem is not the talent. It's that there's no one in the dressing room. Because at that level, the dressing room needs to look after itself. You think of the great United teams. You think of the great Arsenal teams. Fergie's job was made easy. Jaap Stam, Nemanja Vidic, Rio Ferdinand to an extent, Roy Keane, Ryan Giggs, David Beckham. These are all leaders. You don't need to look after those guys. Fergie could just focus on the tactics. When Paul Pogba is your leader, I'm afraid it is loosey-goosey. And you can't have that. What you need is the hammer to come down. How does Ollie bring the hammer down now? He's enabled these kids. It's like basically being a rich kid when you're young. And then you're expected to have a job and go to varsity and look after yourself and clean the kitchen. You don't know how to do these things. And then your parents drop the hammer on you, or you live with other people now and they go, hey, dude, you can't leave your socks on the floor in the bathroom. And you're like, why not? Because you've been enabled. These guys have been enabled, and Man United, you better be careful. And I don't want to hear the United way if Ollie gets the job. Because if they give him the job, then Paul Pogba runs Manchester United. It is the Pogba and the Martial and the Lingard show. Listen, guys, I've seen this movie before. I've seen this movie before. You don't need to tell me about it. I've seen it in 3D. Roberto Di Matteo went to Chelsea, won the Champions League, and he was out 6 months later. Do you know why? Because when he came in, he had to pamper everybody after AVB did a shocking job and tried to drop the hammer. And then when it was time for Di Matteo to drop the hammer, the revolt was stronger than ever. I've seen this movie. Don't give Ollie the job. And if you do, Man United fans, I guarantee you within 6 months we're having this conversation again. I guarantee you. If you're not a Man United fan, you should be praying for them to put Ollie in. Pray, because it's going to be honeymoon from now until then. I don't care if Ollie wins the Champions League. Don't give him the job. He's not up to it. I've seen the warning signs. For goodness sake, he was outcoached by Nuno Espirito Santo of Wolves. That wasn't a talent thing. That was poor. Tactically, United were nowhere. The talent is enough to get you there, folks. Not at this level, not at the sharp end. Stop being on honeymoon. Honeymoon's over now. We expect you to be unbeaten for 14 in a row at Man United. If Ole Gunnar Solskjær gets this job, Man United fans, to all of you, I'm telling you this for the last time, I never want to hear the United way again. Don't ever give me that nonsense of there's the United way. Because what you're telling me is the great days are over. We'll take anyone. We celebrate winning. We celebrate 14 games unbeaten, as though that isn't the standard. Don't ever give me the United way again if Ollie gets the job. I don't want to hear it. Because I tell you what you are if Ole Gunnar Solskjær gets the job. You are now Liverpool 2.0. If Man United don't get the next appointment correct, folks, if Man United don't get the next appointment correct, remember it's already been 6 years without a title. It's going to be 7 years now because they're not winning the title next season. The United way is over. You are now officially Liverpool. If United don't get the next one right, if it's not a Pochettino, if it's not Diego Simeone, well, Zidane is off the table now. If it's not Thomas Tuchel, if it's not a proper guy who can come in, command this team, and probably get rid of one or two who are starting to show an attitude, Man United are Liverpool 2.0. And the United way is over. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear your tweets. I don't want to see your tweets about the United way. I don't want to hear about the United way under Fergie. I don't want to hear the United way because you've fired 3 managers already. The United way is nearly done. But you give it to Ollie, who's delivered par so far, and you guys are celebrating as though he's gone invincible. If Ollie gets the job, I don't want to hear the United way ever again. I don't want to hear it. The United way. Do me a favor. If you're not a United fan, you got to be hoping he gets the job. If you're not a Man United fan, you got to be hoping he gets the job. Let's move over to the oval ball. So remember, guys, from the bleachers, FTB TV, go and subscribe. On Facebook, we are From the Bleachers TV. On Instagram, it is FTB_TV. And then go and check out, of course, the Skip Pass podcast. And you can find us on Twitter as well. From the Bleachers TV, FTB TV. Last topic of the day. We're going to move over to the oval ball. Told you at the beginning, the Bulls just released or are in the process of releasing 100 players. 100 players. Jay-Z had 99 problems. The Bulls have 100. 100 players that they cannot, that they don't want at the club. At the rugby club. Just let that sink in. Like, I feel nothing for the Bulls. I feel nothing for them. The chickens have come home to roost. I'm so delighted this has happened to them. I hope it cripples them. I hope it cripples the Bulls. And not because I'm a Lions fan. I'm unapologetic, folks. It's got nothing to do with that. Because for South African rugby, when the Bulls are good, we know it's good for South African rugby. It's always been that way. I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter if any other union's good. You need the Bulls to be good, and generally the South African rugby is good. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just one of those sporting things. Like it's in the ether. I don't know. You can't explain it. It's one of those things. It's like beauty. If somebody says to you, "Tell me how I'm beautiful," you know that beauty is gone. Like, I don't know. But when the Bulls are good, South African rugby is good. But I hope this cripples them because, you know what? People are talking like the Bulls are the victims here, right? Nobody in South African rugby has killed more careers over the last 10 years than the Bulls. I'll tell you how. Do you know, in Andre Pollard's year, I think it's 2013, 2014 maybe, I don't know. The Bulls signed the entire South African schools rugby team. Now, that's not just bad for those players that are going to go and sit in under 19 behind mostly Springbok players, right? So forget about capping their ability. But now who they're competing against in the under 19 tournament, which is cancelled, by the way, but that's a different conversation. So they're all playing at the Bulls. The best players in South Africa, the best 15 players in South Africa, are all in the Bulls development team. How are you supposed to develop South African rugby like that? It's nonsense. It's nonsense. They're turning kids into cannon fodder. Like, it's the Bulls have them, so you can't have them. So South African, no one else can have them. That's the only reason to sign them. Not so we can play them, as long as no one else has them. Like, what amateur madness is that? Like, what is that? It's ridiculous. I want to let that sink in. 100 players are being released, and there was a time not so long ago that the Bulls signed the entire SA schools rugby team. Listen, my fellow presenter, right? Catch us on, of course, the Skip Pass podcast. Vody Miller says, she feels sorry for the players. I feel nothing for the players. Neuroscientists, marine biologists, actuarial scientists, they get fired all the time. I don't care, this is elite sport, whatever. Deal with it. Put on a suit and go get a real job. Like, go to university. This is what happens, okay? There's only so many seats at the table. I feel nothing for them. Except the Bulls aren't kicking them out, which they'd be entitled to do. But anyone who feels sorry for the players, I'm sorry. This is real life. This is elite sport. Less than 1% of the people make it. 0.0000001% of the people make it. I don't want to hear people feeling sorry for the players. Get on with it. Toughen up. It's elite sport. You fail, you move on. Go get a real job. Go to university. I don't know what people do. Just go to society. Go be an accountant. Go work at Capitec. Get a job. What are we talking about here? Feeling sorry for the players. So Vody feels sorry for the players. I feel nothing for them. She says, oh, their families were promised this. I don't care. It's elite sport. Lots of people fail. Lots of people don't make it. Lots of people get rejected. Let's move on. And for those people who are going, oh, South Africa's going to lose all its talent, relax. Let me tell you why you relax, right? No system in the world produces as many professional-ready players as South African rugby. Affies, Grey Bloom, St. John's, Michael House, Hilton College, St. Andrews. St. Andrews. There's 2 St. Andrews. I didn't stutter. Right? Bishops, Sachs. I mean, these are just some of the schools. I haven't even mentioned the 2, Powerhouse and Paarl. These kids are professional before they even hit SA schools rugby. South African rugby is quite comfortably the most intense schoolboy rugby in the world. And I include in that New Zealand rugby. So don't worry about our talent going overseas. There's no talent drain. We've got a conveyor belt. We'll be fine. Worry about the coaching. But that's a different subject. It's a shambles. So there's no talent drain. Let these boys go overseas. Let them go and earn money. And if they want to come back, they can come back. Like Percy Montgomery went over, he came back a man. He left the boy, he came back a man. And took South Africa to the World Cup. Listen guys, rugby is a dangerous sport. Let these kids go overseas. Let them go and earn their money. In my opinion, if you play overseas, you should not play for the Springboks. But I'll talk about that in another podcast. What I say is let these boys go overseas. Let them earn money. Rugby is a very dangerous sport. Earn your money, earn your keep, come back and represent the Springboks. If you're good enough. Guys, I know we have talent because I can see how many players occupy the European leagues from South Africa. Listen, the Irish think CJ Sunder's Zinza and Brook. CJ Stander wouldn't be the 6th best number 8 in South Africa. He's pathetic. He's worse than Dwayne Vermeulen, and Dwayne Vermeulen's a cart horse. He's a cart horse, and listen, CJ Stander is awful. Maybe the worst skilled loose forward in world rugby currently. We've got 30 of them here. You go to Paarl. If you've been to a Paarl game, it's like watching... I don't know what happens to our players between under 18 and Springbok rugby. But if you've been to watch some of our schoolboy rugby, it is as good as Super Rugby. It is as good as Super Rugby. So please don't worry about the talent. We'll be fine. And lastly, my biggest point and the most disappointing part of all of this. SA Rugby, you have failed us again. It is amateur for you not to do your job. Your job is not to look after the unions. The unions employ people for that. SA Rugby, it is your job to look after South African rugby. There should be no club in South Africa that has 100 players that they don't need. That doesn't serve South African rugby. It should be impossible for the Bulls to have 13 or 14 of the SA schools team, all recruited in 1 year. SA Rugby, you're letting SA Rugby down. It is your job, South African rugby, to look after SA Rugby. It's not your job to care what the Bulls want. You've got to stop the Bulls. You've got to stop the Lions. You've got to stop the Stormers from farming players. SA Rugby are so amateur, it is scary. Guys, you're going to hear me say that a lot because I've had enough. The talent in South Africa, it's too much. We have too much talent. All of our B team and C team and D team players go and play for Ireland and England. You can see them. They're littered. Scott Spedding went to France. So they're everywhere. Rory Cockett's, I think, at France as well. So our D team guys, they're all over the world. Our talent's not the problem. Our administrators are a joke. Our administrators are a joke. And when I see this, I know they don't care about SA Rugby. So do me a favor. It's not the Bulls' problem that they're farming players. It's SA Rugby. And as rugby fans, you're killing us, right? Because when you kill the talent, you kill us. We support the players. I don't care about a CEO sitting... I don't care about Uriru. I don't care about Uriru and his farm in wherever he has it. I don't care about his yacht or whatever he has. I care about the players. When you deny talent, you deny the fan. Because we pay our subscription every month to watch rugby. We pay for the tickets. We park our cars every day outside and travel, I don't know, hundreds of kilometers every year. I mean, Bulls fans especially, they follow their team around the country. But SA Rugby is denying the best talent from getting on the field because they allow 100 players that a club doesn't need to be farmed, to be sitting there and doing squat. But there is hope. Alan Zondag said it will never happen at the Bulls while he's there again. That's what he says, and I trust him. He seems like a straight-talking guy. He says at most they'll go 7 deep, so they'll have 7 players in each position, right from the top to the under-19 team. SA Rugby must step up. My prediction, it won't, and we'll keep farming players. And it's sad. And for you fans, I'm sorry. I don't know what we can do, but they've got all the power. The unions have so much money, and SA Rugby is run by amateurs. So are the unions, but at least the unions have cash. And it's sad. But we're not losing any talent. Don't worry about it. To the Bulls, I feel nothing for you. For the players, toughen up, go overseas, go and earn your money. And we'll see you in a couple of years, maybe when we're ready to win another World Cup. Folks, that is it from the bleachers today, and indeed for the week. I'm away, and we are away for the week. So thank you very much for joining us for the very first episode, which went live to video. Please subscribe from the Bleachers TV on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Go and like, share, and please pass this on. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel from the Bleachers TV, and you can check out the Skip Pass podcast there as well. Subscribe, like, share. Let all your friends know that the revolution is here. Sports entertainment will be changed forever. That is it. FTB TV with the People's Champ for today. Folks, thank you for joining me. Have an awesome weekend. If you're flying around the country or driving around the country to go and be with family, be safe. It is a public holiday in the Republic of South Africa this weekend. Enjoy it. Be blessed. Be blessed, guys. Be with family. Go and enjoy yourself. I have the pleasure of going to go and be with family myself. So be blessed and be together and have a very safe weekend. And on Monday, I will be back to give you more of the hardest hitting opinions, unfiltered, guys. Everything that sports fans want to hear is going to be on this channel. So like, share, pass on, and I will be back to talk more Premier League, more rugby, more cricket, more boxing, all the latest headlines from around the world. The Skip Pass podcast will be back next week as well. Like, share, subscribe from the Bleachers TV, FTB TV. That has been it with me, the People's Champ, MKT. Thank you very much for joining me.